I know that as a Bitcoin maxi, you take a lot of comfort in the fact that you've got a geographically distributed multisig. Whether it's a 2 of 3, whether it's a 3 of 5, you've got your keys distributed all over the place, whether it's in different states or different countries, and you feel like there's no single point of failure. You feel quite bulletproof. The reality is that you aren't, and here's what nobody's telling you. Technical security, that is the security of your Bitcoin, is completely separate from inheritance. There are two distinct, separate problems that have two very different solutions. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what multisig doesn't solve and how to close it. Multisig is brilliant at one thing. It helps you avoid a single point of failure. It protects you while you're alive from theft, coercion, or one of your devices breaking. But it says nothing about what happens when you're the one no longer controlling the multisig. Even if your heirs physically held 2 of 3 keys or 3 of 5 keys in a multisig setup, they still might not legally be able to claim those coins because they don't have the legal entitlement to it. Possession and legal entitlement are two distinct issues. So what multisig does is it solves for redundancy, but what it doesn't solve for is the transfer of that Bitcoin legally to your beneficiaries or your heirs. The second is a knowledge problem. Do your heirs or beneficiaries know about the PIN to the hardware devices? Do they know which hardware device to even use and which have funds on them and which don't, which have trick pins or decoy amounts on them? Do you use a passphrase? Do your loved ones know about that? Do they know what wallet software to use? Do they know the username and password to whatever multisig platform you're using, whether it's Nunchuck or Theo or Casa or Unchained? Do they know which derivation path is the correct one for your multisig wallet? This is all critical information if you want your beneficiaries to actually be able to access your Bitcoin. Without all that information and context, you're effectively giving them a puzzle that they now need to go and solve. And what's worse is that they're having to solve this at a time where they're grieving your loss. And this is where technical roadmap comes in. It's a document that sits separate to your will, separate from your seed phrases and your private keys, explaining what you've got and how to go about accessing your Bitcoin. You don't have to include your seed phrase in there, but you need to give your family, your executor, the person legally appointed to administer your estate, enough information so they can actually access your Bitcoin when you're no longer there. Because you're not going to be there to guide them, obviously. If you were to die tonight, is there a single person on earth who has a full view of all the different piles of Bitcoin that you got, every exchange account, every hardware device, and how to actually access that? Most Bitcoiners have that in their brains, but they haven't taken the time to put that onto paper. You need to put pen to paper. You need to put in place a mechanism to identify all the stuff that you've got. And this applies not just to Bitcoin, but anything that has a digital footprint. The best thing you can do for your loved ones and your executor is to make sure your affairs are nicely tied up in a bow so that if anything happened to you, they can identify all the digital assets you have. And no, I'm not talking about crypto. I'm talking about Bitcoin as well as everything else that's digital. Online banking details, social media accounts, email accounts, all those types of things that your loved ones are going to have to figure out. So do them a favor and do it now. What they really need then is an inventory. Not an outline of how to access all of these things, but an inventory of what you've got so that nothing gets overlooked when you pass away. So if multisig doesn't solve the legal transfer of your Bitcoin from you to your loved ones, and an inventory simply lists what you've got without providing access instructions, what do you actually need in order for you to transfer your Bitcoin to your loved ones legally? That's the will and the letter of wishes that work in conjunction with each other. As a Bitcoin maximalist, you have two jobs, security and inheritance. Most people have only optimized for one. They've only thought about how to properly secure their Bitcoin. They have not spent sufficient time thinking about how to pass ownership legally to their next of kin, to their beneficiaries. This exact thing is worth getting a second set of eyes on because for most people, they are too close to their own setup to see the gaps. Go to mybitcoinworld.com, book a free diagnostic call, and we'll work together to figure out exactly what you need to do to make sure that not only your loved ones receive your Bitcoin, but that they can become the legal owners of your Bitcoin.